Welcome to the #InvestThis podcast, where the secrets for real estate investing are revealed. Now, here's your host, Scott Bauer.
Welcome, everybody, to the 58th episode of the #InvestThis podcast. I'm your host, Scott Bauer, and today we have the man himself, the land guy, Jack Bosch. How are you, Jack?
I'm doing excellent. How are you?
Oh, doing well, man. Doing well. A little bit about Jack. He's actually known as the land guy. He is a real estate investor, educator, husband, and father. Originally an immigrant from Germany who came over with just 2 suitcases and a bunch of student debt. Jack, with his wife Michelle, have found their niche in real estate. Since 2002, they have been buying and selling lots and unimproved land and have flipped up more than 4,000 transactions. Only took him 18 months, though, to go from zero to $1 million. And since 2008, Jack and Michelle have also been educating those who either find houses too challenging or are unsatisfied with the competition and teaching them how to make more money from simple land and lot flips. I'm excited to dive into that. Plus, they have figured out a way to make land cash flow massively and consistently, with checks coming in for years and even decades to come. In addition to land flips, Jack and Michelle also own a portfolio of rental houses, commercial properties, and even large apartment buildings. However, land and lots is their passion because, as Jack says, there are no tenants, toilets, and termites on land, which really means no repairs, no inspections, no mold, no contractors. While still flipping over 100 properties a year, they now spend 2 to 4 months a year traveling the world with his family. They have designed their business to fit their lifestyle, and the cash and cash flow from the business and investments allow them the luxury of living life on their own terms. Jack is also the #1 best-selling author of the financial literacy book, Forever Cash: Break the Earn Spend Cycle, Take Charge of Your Life, and Build Everlasting Wealth. He also hosts a successful podcast, Forever Cash Life, the real estate podcast. So, Jack, that's a lot to get into, but I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, it looks like I wasn't even aware I've done that much, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it can be sometimes I think, when you're in the seat, you don't realize how far you've come. And so
Right.
That's a lot to lead up to. But why don't you give the listeners a little bit more about your background? What are you focused on now?
Yes. So what I'm focused on now is really, on a high level, 2 things: investing and education. So we invest in really 2 things. We invest in land. We flip land, continue flipping land, always will continue flipping land. It's been our bread and butter forever. But then over time, we had profits sitting around there that we need to do something with. So we started buying rental houses, as you mentioned, for cash flow. But lately, for the last few years, we've actually invested more of that cash into apartment complexes, syndicating deals, investing our own money, and taking deals that are already running okay, to really run top and go selling them. So again, cash flow momentum kind of deals that have 90% occupancy, but below market rent, some other deferred maintenance and stuff like that, optimizing them, and then go selling them again. And and then we teach our land flipping to other people. We have seminars and home study courses and stuff like that.
Okay. So, a lot of this podcast is geared towards real estate investors that are in all aspects of the space. There's syndicators on here. There are single family flippers, all of the above. Matter of fact, I mean, we look at, distressed multifamily assets as well, and kind of do the same thing. So repositioning has been very popular for you.
Not repositioning. We don't go into properties, kick everyone out, and remodel them. Like the latest property that we just bought is a 146 unit Class C apartment building in Oklahoma City. It's already 80% of the units have already been remodeled. It's already 90% occupied when we put it on a contract. We owned it 2 months. Now we're at 96%. Rents are already up $30 on average. So we go into deals that are where the heavy lifting has already been done in terms of the actual physical work, but the properties have been far from optimized. So in this case, properties were the occupancy was at 90, so still has another 5 to 7% to go. The units were 80% were remodeled. Well, there's still 20% to go, but they never raised the rents. They just remodeled them, filled them up, because before it was kind of like half empty and ugly. So now they made it prettier, but filled it up. But now we're taking it, filling it up even more, and raising rents to market, because market is about 75% higher than what it has been. So than what the rents are. And then there's a lack of amenities, which is part of the reason why rents are lower, right? So we're going in, we're adding some amenities like barbecues and pergolas and pool equipment and you name it, what else? Playground and dog park and stuff like that. But we're not repositioning them. We're just optimizing them. And that is going very, very well. This deal, we bought it 2 months ago. Net operating income is already up 10%. Rents are up, as I said, $30 a unit, and all the newly rented ones and renewals are up about $25 a month. So it's all working like beautiful, like a charm.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I mean, those B and C class properties that are underperforming are good and ripe for this type of investment, right? But let's back up a little bit, because in the beginning of the call, I said that you're an immigrant from Germany. Are you first generation immigrant from Germany?
I am. I can still hear my accent. I came over here when I was 27 years old. That was 21 and a half years ago. So I'm 48 now, and still I'm now American citizen. So we went through the full immigration process of work visa and struggling through a company working there, and then started our real estate business out of sheer desire to stand on our own feet and not be dependent on somebody else on a job. And so yes, I'm originally from Germany, and my wife actually is from Honduras, Central America. We started this business together. We run it together. We own it together. So she's an integral part of this.
That's phenomenal. I love to hear that. And you know what? I love to see the immigration side of things. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I am born in the U.S. I was born in Iowa, which is, I don't know if it gets any more American than that. You know, that's where everything is grown. You know, so I can't understand the struggles you would have had to go through to get to where you're at now. And so to me, that's remarkable. I love to see success like this, like you're doing. And, you know, I'm sure it wasn't an easy path, right? I mean, this is something that
No, it wasn't. But as you say, was like sometimes that no iron got sharp without it being scraped, or there's some saying or something around that. Basically, I don't know exactly what I mean, but basically, all those things have made us tougher. All those things have made us better. All those things have made us see that we can go through those things. So when the company I worked for let go of 3,000 people in a year, in a matter of fact, in 3 days of that year, and I was spared. I mean, that scared the living daylights out of me, because if I would have lost that job, I would have had to leave the country or find another job that would have picked up that visa, and nobody would have done it during that time. But instead, I was not fired, but it changed my outlook on how jobs are, and it changed my outlook about corporate America and corporate Germany. There's no difference, right? It changed my outlook on how employee life is, and it made me switch into, I got to stand on my 2 feet, right? When we struggled for 3 years to figure out real estate, and then we figured it out with a method nobody else is doing, which is land flipping. We realized that creativity pays off, that it's a good thing to be creative. And every time we failed, we learned something new. And so it was a tough road, but it was the road I wouldn't regret. I don't regret going down that road.
Absolutely. And so that took you really 3 years once you left corporate America. How long did you say you've been in the real estate space?
Well, I've been in the real estate space since the end of 2002 successfully. I've been trying to be in the real estate space since the end of 99, right? So basically the middle of 99. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I started going into that direction then. But for 2.5, 3 years, while having a job, we struggled, right? We tried to do a wholesale, couldn't get it done. We tried to do buy tax liens, couldn't get it done. Or we bought them, but they were redeemed 3 weeks later, and we made $3.72 in interest. And we we tried to attend tax deed auctions, and we were outbid. And we looked at properties, we looked at all different kind of methods, and at the time, none of them worked for us in the sense that they weren't the right timing, the right thing for us. So we kind of we weren't successful. But then once we focused on land flipping, on focusing on $10,000 to $100,000 properties that you can pick up for that the owners no longer want, and they literally give them to you for 25 cents on the dollar. We bought our first piece of land for $400 and sold it for $4,000. Right? So I mean, that's not that much, but it's 10 times our money. And then the next deal we bought for $500, sold for $10,000. Then we bought a property for $1,800, sold for $81,000 or $86,000 actually. And then we bought properties for $300 or $325, sold for $35,000. All of a sudden we're like, hey, we don't even have to touch houses because we don't know anything about houses. Let's just stick with land and keep making those kind of profits.
So, I'm sure that you said that you had a full course on this, on how to do this type of real estate investing.
Yes.
The first question that comes to mind is, well, Arizona, which is, you live in Arizona, is that right?
Right.
Yeah, you're here just like I am. There's a lot of land out there, right? So, how do you go about finding this land, and who do you sell it to? I mean, is it private people? Yeah. Is it large companies?
No, it's we're selling them to private people mostly, and a few to some investors that want to perhaps build. But in essence, we're going after three kinds of properties. Number one is infill lots, and those infill lots we obviously sell to builders. The second ones are properties right in the outskirts of town in the path of growth. Phoenix is growing, but it's true in every other state too. There's at least one or two cities that are massively growing, like Atlanta is growing, Denver is growing, Colorado Springs is growing, you name it, like Cincinnati's back growing again, right? LA is growing, and Florida, all the big cities in Florida are growing, and so on. So you go right in the outskirts of those in the path of growth, and often an acre there is worth let's say $30,000 to $50,000 versus an acre in the city is worth $500,000. So you go after these lower priced properties that have been in family ownership often for decades, and they just have been paying property taxes. Perhaps the dad passed away, passed it on to the child. Child lives in New York, properties in Texas. Denver is growing like crazy, right? Dallas is growing like crazy. So perhaps they're in the outskirts of Dallas. The son lives in, the owner lives in New York. And you can go after any property anywhere in the country, and that's outside of the city. There's going to be people that don't care what it's worth. They don't know what it's worth. They don't want to pay property taxes anymore. They're just going to want to let it go. And you pick them up for 20 cents on the dollar. So you take a $30,000 property, you pick it up for $6. And then at the same time, because it's in the path of growth, you sell it to people that want to buy there for two reasons: either financial appreciation, or to buy because they're future retirees. They're in their 50s. They want to retire somewhere where it's fairly inexpensive to retire, but they want to be close to the city. So they're retiring 10 miles outside of the city where they can get an acre or 2 acres for 30 grand. They put their mobile home or they build a little cabin on it. That's where they retire. But within 20 minutes, they're at the doctor, they're at the grocery stores, they're at the game and things like that. So it makes sense for them. And the third group we're focusing on is like recreational acreage. So 40 acres outside, an hour outside of Denver, an hour outside of Dallas, an hour outside of Miami, an hour outside of Phoenix, Arizona, for that matter, where people want to go and have a ranch, right? Lots of people love to have a ranch.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I mean, I'm from the farm. So the farm area is somewhere where I'm used to having acreage. It's nice to be out of the city, but still close enough to where you can get to the city. So I can see that as being a very big, benefit for somebody if they can get this acreage. But do you already have the buyer in mind before you go out and acquire these properties? And are you flipping them? Like, are you wholesaling the land, or it's probably a little bit of all of it, right?
It's all of the above, and you can do it whichever way you want. So yes, some of our students, and we do that sometimes too, we have specific buyers that look in specific areas. So we'll go get them a bunch of properties and we go sell it to them. We got properties that we just go get some under contract, then we go look for the buyer. And we also love, and you mentioned already, we love selling them with seller financing. With owner financing, like pick up a property for $3 grand, sell it for 30, have somebody give you as a down payment $5,000 and $500 a month for the next 7 years, life is good, right?
There's
Because
cash
if you heard
flow.
me right, we paid 3, we got 5 back. So we already got more money back when we sell the property than we even paid for it. And if you do it right, you can do a double closing, right? You can put it under contract and have the buyer put the $5,000 down, use the $5,000 to pay the seller, and then have the title company kind of cost you $1,000 or so, and then you still get $1,000, and you own the property now, and you sold it now. We're seller financing, and now they're making $500 a month payment, and you don't have to take a penny out of your pocket. So we do that a lot, and as a matter of fact, we're just moving, going to a new house. So there's still, the packers are coming tomorrow to pack out all the stuff. And my wife, literally half an hour ago, she's like, hey, look at that. I just found a statement from our loan servicing software that states that that states that we have $80,000 a month in cash flow coming in just from land notes.
Wow.
Right? Now the numbers have changed a little bit. We do a little bit less deal. We do more cash deals. We do higher end deals and so on. So our cash flow is a little bit down from that right now, but we're also doing so many other things. And but this year we're still looking to flip over 100 properties, probably 150. And but it was fun to find that because these $300 to $500 monthly payments, they add up very, very quickly.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that they do. Matter of fact, I mean the creative financing side of real estate is something I'm diving into very deep right now, because I think it's it's one of the things that not a lot of people know about. So you've already cracked that code, which is pretty exciting.
Right.
What is there an average? I mean, in that deal specifically that you just spoke about, somebody literally paid you to give them the property, and then they're going to pay you every single month for the next however many years, right?
Right.
God, that's a great deal.
Yeah.
That sounds phenomenal. So is there an average size for this? I mean,
so the interesting thing is actually that the higher you go in price, the more you actually get cash sales. So it's kind of counterintuitive. You think people, when you sell a $100,000 property, people would want to do this with owner financing versus selling a $10,000 property. But the reality is the kind of people that are looking for a $100,000 property often have the cash to just write you a check. The kind of people looking for a $10,000 property often need owner financing. So the sweet thing, so below $50,000, it's typically such that about you can do it, you can structure it whatever you want. We actually offer seller financing in all our deals because we love the cash flow that comes from it. There's nothing better than somebody paying you $500-$600 a month for the next 10 years, and you don't have any tenants, toilets, termites, no repairs, no plumbing, nothing on that property. They don't even live there. They just pay for it, and they might go up there every once in a while for a weekend. So I absolutely love that because it's the true definition of passive cash flow. So can you adjust it? Yeah, I mean, sometimes we don't like monthly payments less than $150 because it's a little bit more hassle. Like in terms of, it's the same work to collect 150 and then it's collect 500. But often the deals between $10,000 and $50,000, they often want seller financing. And as I said, you can structure it their way. You can incentivize them. If you want seller financing, offer great terms. If you don't want seller financing, offer bad terms. Right? So you can really do whatever you want there. Some of our students do only cash deals. Some of our students do only seller financing deals. Some give the buyer the option of whatever they want to do. It's really up to the individual person what they want to do.
So if somebody that's listening to this podcast wants to get involved and understand more about how they can buy land deals anywhere in the country, I take it they can reach out to you?
Yeah, they can go to landprofitgenerator.com. That's the name of our brand, Land Profit Generator. We have Land Profit Generator live events. We have Land Profit Generator courses. We have Land Profit Generator coaching. We have all the Land Profit Generator stuff. So they can go to landprofitgenerator.com to find out more about it. Okay, very cool. We'll make sure to add that in the show notes. What would you say, I mean, what is one of the biggest obstacles you've had to jump over in getting in this space? I mean, if there is some obstacles, what have those been? The obstacles is always knowledge, right? Knowledge and courage, almost like, because what I find in real estate is that it's scary because there's a lot of there's a lot on the line. Like if somebody makes, I don't know, 50 grand a year and manages to put $5,000 a year away, and after 10 years, they have $50,000 saved up, or perhaps with interest and thing, it's $60,000, $70,000 saved up. And now they need to come into a deal and they need to potentially put that on the line. That's a very, very scary thought. And that was a very scary thought for us too. We didn't even have that kind of money. We had like 3 grand to start out with. So, but the thought of taking up a mortgage, the thought of doing a rehab, the thought these things are scary. Now, doesn't mean you can't do it. I mean, you do deals like that. There's guys we know that do hundreds of rehabs a year. The thing is, what is the difference is, the thing was to get over that hump, and we were only able to get over that hump once we found a deal that we could buy for 10 cents on the dollar or 5 cents on the dollar. When we were able to buy a deal for $400 that we knew was worth $8,000, that's when it clicked, and we're like, okay, well, that's an easy deal, because I know I don't need to risk my life savings to have that deal. So my thing is, the hurdles, I had the same hurdles as everyone else, and they paralyzed me. So I needed to find something that I could take action on because it would fit my level of courage and confidence. Since then, now 2 months ago, we bought a $7.5 million apartment complex, right? It's a completely different world now. But as you start, your confidence, your capability, your courage will all grow over time. And the key is finding something that allows you to move forward right now without being paralyzed to death.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think that's a great point to bring up. I mean, it's got to be progression, right? Would you say that it's a competitive space, the land flipping area?
No, absolutely not. There's like, for every 1,000 house flippers, there's one land flipper. So we have been teaching this for 10 years, and there's still almost absolutely no competition in the market. There's occasionally you come across a couple of people that do the same. I just did a live event where somebody raised their hand and says, like, they've owned a set of properties for 10 years. In the last 10 years, which coincidentally is how long I've been teaching this, they've gotten 2 letters from somebody. So 2 letters. So we send out letters, but our students send out 500 letters at a time. And our average student gets a deal for every 300 to 500 letters they send out, because there is virtually no competition here. Man,
if I could use those same metrics, who knows what's going to happen after this? Because I can tell you I send a lot more mail than that every single time. So, I mean, it's not a competitive space. You can be profitable with it. Is it tough to find buyers out there for this? Is there certain areas where you go to look? I mean, I know I can go and pull lists of cash buyers out there that are buying houses, but they're not all interested in land. Right. So what does that pull?
Our land exit strategy is a little different. It's not harder, it's different. So we don't typically sell to a lot of repeat buyers. There's a few that we sell stuff. Again, they want stuff in a certain area and they buy as much as you can get them. That's great. And that's obviously a perfect way to build this business. But the way we sell is by using these free online resources like Zillow, like for a Facebook marketplace, like Craigslist and so on. And we just became really good at 2 things. Number 1, focusing on areas where we know properties are in demand. And number 2, putting together really good listings. And that's obviously the beginning and the end of the course that we have for our students is exactly that. The first 3 modules are all about focusing on the properties, finding the kind of areas and the kind of properties that will sell afterwards. Because absolutely, can you buy land that will not sell? Yes, you can do that. You can buy properties that are worth $2,000 that you can buy for $50, but you're going to sit on them because nobody wants them because they're only worth $2 grand. So what we're focusing on is the good properties, how to identify them, how to find them, how to focus on them. And then on the selling side, how to make your listing be a very simple structure that we show. But once you follow that structure, your properties will literally fly off the shelf. Like one of our guys, he put like 5 properties on a website on a Friday, and he had them all sold on Monday. Like wow. Another guy, he sold them within 4 days, made $25,000, and so on and so on and so forth. And that's like ongoing right now.
Wow. Probably especially we're in Arizona, so probably in Arizona it's very, very popular place to be right now with net migration and everything going on in the world.
Arizona, Texas, Florida, but New Mexico, California, Oregon. I mean, you name it. It's like, it's all the country. We have guys that do deals in Ohio, right? Yeah. They do deals in Ohio just fine, making lots of money there.
So, I guess, is this something somebody could do part-time? You know,
I mean, I was forced. We were forced to start this part-time because when we came to this country and we got our work visa, your job, your permission to stay in the country is tied to a job. So that means if you quit, your visa goes out the door with it. If you get fired, the visa stays with the company. You don't no longer have a work visa here in the US. So I needed to figure this out while I had a job because I was unhappy in my job, in order to then be able to, both Michelle and I, for the same applies to us, we needed to figure this out so that by the time that our green card, the permanent residency, arrived, that we finally got it through, which by the way took us 5.5 years. By the time that happened, we were already on the go with these deals, and we were well on our way to be able to quit. So, and that's exactly how we did it. So I started part-time. I had a job that included 100% travel. I was gone from Monday to Friday. So, and I was working from 8 a.m. to like 10 p.m. literally, sometimes till midnight. So I put an hour in at 11 p.m. I put an hour in. I put in the weekend time in. I sometimes pretended to work, and I was really working on my own stuff. And shame on me, I know. Well, as if nobody else does that, right? And bottom line is, through those part-time pieces, we got this going, and it allowed us to build up a year's worth of living expenses, build up $5,000 in cash flow over the course of 10 months after having figured this out. And then at that time, the green card was there. We were able to quit, and we never looked back.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Is it just you and Michelle, or how big is the operation that you're in now?
Well, we have multiple operations now, obviously, because we have apartment complexes, we have other commercial property, we have a portfolio of rental properties, we have our educational side of things, like our courses and seminars and things, and we have the land flipping. And so the land flipping currently is done with a team of, except outside of Michelle and I, obviously we do pieces of it, but the rest of the team is really only 3 people, and one of them only full-time. So because you don't need a big team, one of our students flips 170 properties. It's his wife, it's himself, and it's 1 virtual assistant. And that's for 170 deals a year. So we can easily do, we have somebody who gathers all the information about the properties and does the value analysis. Then Michelle and I look at it, we make the offers, and everything else can be outsourced. We outsource the mailing, right? And our students do the same thing. We outsource the call taking to a call center, right? We outsource the making the offer. Again, somebody can do that for you. I mean, the mailing out of the offer, because we make these offers in writing by mail. And the only thing that Michelle and I do is we actually make the physical offers, and we set the price. And then we have 1 full-time salesperson who sells the property for us. But before that, we did do it all ourselves. Like the first 2 years, it was Michelle and I. And the first year we did 63 deals while having jobs, and the next year we did 150 deals, also while not having a job, just the 2 of us.
How many? So there's a KPI for how many offers we have to make on single-family houses or even in apartment buildings before we get one accepted. What is the KPI for land deals? I mean, how many? You were saying 1 in 500 letters, you'll get a deal out of that. Is that what I heard right?
That's about right. So we make, here's the thing, our letters, because we're dealing in the land area and we're dealing in a no competition area, and we're dealing with people who have owned these properties for sometimes decades and really don't want them anymore. When we send out 1,000 letters, we get around typically between 80 and 150 phone calls. So we get like an 8 to 15% response rate, which obviously is way larger than on the house side. In the house side, you get like 1% or so if you're lucky. Yeah. And so we're getting like 8 to 15 times the response rate. Let's say 10 times the response rate of our of the house guys. So what we do is when you send out 100 offers, on average, there's about 2 to 4 deals in there. So therefore, we make about 30 to 50 offers for one deal. Right? And you can improve that with a little follow-up. You can actually double those numbers or cut them in half, basically. You can get quite a few of our students gotten it down to getting one offer accepted for every 20 offer, one deal for every 20 offers they send out. But every 20 offers they send out really means only about 200 to 300 letters. Does it make sense?
It does. No, it makes sense. I'm just thinking here the whole time while you're explaining this, I got to ask you a dumb question. Why are more people not doing this? Because
they have been brainwashed into a thing that the land is an alligator that just eats property taxes. That land doesn't cash flow. That land is expensive. Land is risky. And all those things are true when you buy a downtown $10 million lot or that half an acre somewhere in infill lot and you hold on to it for the next 10 years. Then you're depending on the ups and downs of the economy. Then you have to pay the property taxes. Then if you want to develop it, it takes forever having to work with the cities and stuff like that. But we're not doing that. We're flipping land just like other people flip houses. We don't touch them. We don't change anything on them. In many cases, we don't even own them. We assign the contract to somebody else. We do the same wholesaling that everyone else does and seller financing that everyone else does, just without a house being on there. So you can do everything the same just without the competition.
You're blowing my mind, Jack. I got to be honest with you. I mean, you're blowing my mind because it's a competitive world out there. We've been able to have success in the house space, in the apartment space, yet the land space is something I know nothing about, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners don't either. So I'm really excited that you've been able to share this today.
You're welcome. And I have been teaching this for 10 years, and we still get as many deals as we did 10 years ago. Not a change in competition has happened.
I'm sure. It's an abundance mentality. I mean, most of the listeners out there are not going to take any action on this because they're going to say, yeah, right, this guy's crazy or whatever he's going to say. But, you're really intriguing to me because this is something I've always wondered. How do people really make money in land, especially in a space like Arizona?
Yeah, and again, I'm not, somebody asked me the other day, why don't you haven't done land development? Because I don't want to drag myself down for the next 5 years doing something. And that depends on how the economy is 5 years from now. I want to flip a piece of land, make 100 grand, make 50 grand, make 10 grand, whatever the number is, and just move on to the next deal, or turn it into cash flow and then use that cash and cash flow. And then I can invest into more cash flow in the form of apartment complexes, and life is good.
Absolutely. That is definitely the truth. I think, what about the market? What happens in the market when we're in you've been in it 10 years, so you've seen a cycle.
I've been here 17 years in the market. Since 2002. So 17 years, we've seen the cycle. We definitely were affected by the downturn, but in a different way. So our technique continued to work during the downturn. They continued to work, just that you had to buy properties cheaper and sell them cheaper. So the margins were smaller than they are now. The margins right now are the best margins that I have ever seen since I've been doing this business.
We better get into it right now then, huh?
Yeah, literally. That's what I'm telling everyone. But right now, the market is the best I've ever seen it. And this little settlement that we're seeing in the housing area, like the slowdown or settlement, the thing has not affected us at all. And as long as that doesn't turn into a big crash, it won't affect us, because we're dealing with the average Joe out there that just wants to have a place to retire down the road, a place to go take their RVs out and their ATVs out and their camper out, or we're dealing with a builder, and builders are continuing to building because in many metropolitan areas, there's still an undersupply of affordable single family homes out there.
So, and you can do this in any market, right? Every market that's popular, there's, you could do this. So if I'm here in Arizona and I want to go to Iowa and I want to do the same thing, can I do the exact same thing?
Exact same thing. We do deals from Hawaii to Florida.
You teach your students how to go out there and find these buyers. I'm sure you do as well. And
all of it, yes. All of it.
Okay.
From A to Z.
Okay. Man, that's interesting. That's absolutely interesting. Where do you see it going in the next 5 years? If you put your company, obviously you have your hand in a lot of different things at this point, apartments, commercial, land, all the above. But what does 5 years look like for you?
Well, 5 years for me looks like, I think, pretty much the same, in a sense that we keep flipping land. We'll always do that. then we'll keep taking the money we make and we'll keep buying apartment complexes to put our money in there to have additional cash flow. We probably will get out of the single family space because in a sense we've never flipped. I mean, we have flipped in the past, some properties, we've rehabbed some properties, but then we got out of that because land is so much simpler. But we even got to get out of our rental portfolio of our single family rentals, because even the single family rentals is too much hassle for us.
Oh, it's a pain.
I love either land where there's no hassles, or I love big apartment complexes where you have a property management company in place taking care of everything.
Yeah,
Right.
I would absolutely agree with that.
The rest in the middle is, I don't want to get constant calls or emails from a property management company telling that somebody moved out again and it's a $6,000 turn, because in a single family, you have to use an outside contractor to fix that thing, versus in a multifamily, your own guy that is already on salary goes fixes this, and that same turn costs $1,000 here that costs $6,000 over there.
You know what? I'm such a big proponent in multifamily properties. It's one of those things that it's a hidden secret out there. I think it's not really that hidden, but I think the land part is really the hidden secret.
It's just multifamily is about 3.5 million times more complicated than land.
Multifamily is
finding the acquisition, the qualifying for the loan, the actually managing, the getting all the KPIs down and managing the property management company, making your adjustments. All of that is a freaking bear. But once you got it done, once you got it right, it becomes a cash cow and it becomes $1 million exit.
Yep.
But the land flipping is a cookie cutter cash machine and cash flow machine that anyone can do from home part-time. I mean, we have people spend 6 hours a week, Thursday evenings and Saturday mornings. That's all they do. And they do like a deal and a half a month doing that, making an extra 20 grand a month or something like that.
Wow. That's seriously phenomenal. Jack, I got to be honest, man, the value you provided today with just the knowledge about land has been above what I thought you were going to talk about. Honestly, I didn't know exactly what you were going to talk about, but I can tell you that I'm excited about it. I'm sure the listeners are also excited about it. It's one of those things, it's the unknown. And so when I asked the question about competition, I think that it's lack of education for a lot of people. Would you agree to that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know what to do to get into the land side, if they don't have somebody like yourself that's out there giving that value to them and being able to show them how to do this whole thing, they'd have no idea. They'd be like me at this point, right? I have no clue how you flip land. But the fact that you're able to do it, be able to be profitable, you can wholesale it, you can hold it, you can sell or finance it for long-term cash flow. These are all extremely exciting things, because I can tell you, I agree with you. I hate toilets, I hate tenants, and I hate every single time somebody has to move out, you got to go in there and spend your hard-earned cash to make it right again, right? It's a
Absolutely,
pain.
yeah.
We're dealing with that actually right now, which is another thing. But anyways, are you ready for the lightning round? We're getting down here to time.
I'm ready for that.
All right. So what is your hashtag invest this tip? If you were going to give them one, what would it be?
Well, I mean, I think I probably did it already. Start looking at land, because even if you're flipping houses, I guarantee anyone that's already flipped houses, you've come across land leads and you've just brushed them away because you didn't know what to do with them. Well, start looking at them, because there's often the same or more money in the land deals than there is in the houses with less hassles.
So I actually have a quick question on that. I mean, I've certainly come across lots of land deals over the years that, they want full retail value for these for these land deals. I mean, what do you say to that? I mean, it's just part of it.
They want, I mean, that's why you only get 1 out of 20 deals 20 offers accepted, because not everyone is going to accept your 10 or 20 cents on a dollar offer. But often they're also bluffing, because they're just thinking you're a guy with the deep pockets and thinks that gotta pay them a lot of money. And we just ignore it, and we just make them a 20 cents offer anyway. And often they don't accept it, and often they do.
I really like the fact that you actually write down on paper, you actually send them a physical offer. Would you say that that's helped your conversion rate?
It does. And it also is, we're doing that because, again, of the lack of competition. We don't have to get up from a dinner table if a seller calls and go meet the seller right away. We literally just, we only make offers once a week. Whether they call us Friday or Saturday, offers are being made Thursdays, period. All right, so they have to wait a week for their offer, and then we send it to them by mail, which might take another 3-4 days for them to get there. So, but why can we do that? Because they're not going to get an offer from anyone else anyway. right? So there's not like 20 offers coming in. We're the only ones that actually send them a letter. So it's almost, again, it's a competition-free area almost. And I say almost because there's perhaps 5 or 10 counties out of 3,000 counties where there's now a few of my students like hanging out, but I still get deals in those counties. And it's like 5 to 10 people per county in those 5 to 10 counties, not like Phoenix where there's probably 1,500 house flippers.
Yeah, or more.
Yeah, or more. So what we do, I forgot the question right now. I forgot the question.
Your tip. Start looking at land. You were
start looking at land, and then your follow-up question about it was something. I think I mostly answered it.
Yeah, I mean, talking about competition, it's just very, very important. People's lack of
the letters. You asked about the letters. Now, yes, it has helped the conversions because what happens is they see it, they might not like it, but they put it off to the side, and often is particularly if they have inherited it, they're like thinking about it. It's like, yeah, I don't like this offer, but what else am I going to do with this thing? And after 2-3 days, because we give them about 5 days to decide, after 2-3 days, they're like, oh, what the heck? Let's just sign it, and then they send it back. So that truly helps with the written offer. We found that we get a much higher conversion rate there if than sending it by email or by phone.
I'm sure that's quite interesting and probably very true. You had mentioned at the top of the call here something about Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I'm going to ask the question anyways. Have you had a book that has had a big impact in your life that you could recommend for the listeners?
Yes, obviously Rich Dad Poor Dad, but more recently that we have built a team, right? That we have a team, because if you add all our people together, the people working in multifamily, the people working in the occasional business, the people, our coaches, are the people working on our land business, and so on. We have 15 or so people work with us, and so it's a team that has grown over time. And I've read a book by something Mark Ward is the last name of the guy, Mark Ward, and it's called Turn the Ship Around. And that is my number one best management and leadership book that I've read really kind of ever, because it reflects my leadership style, which is a very hands-off leadership style. I don't want to be the person deciding everything. I want my team to be in a position and have the authority and the levels of knowledge and expertise to be able to decide 99% of everything that comes up. So ideally, in this book, it's about a United States submarine commander who 2 weeks before he gets deployed on a submarine gets switched to another submarine that he knows that's a completely different generation of submarine that he knows absolutely nothing about. So by force, he has to completely rely on his staff, and he builds a management strategy out of that makes the ship go from the least performing in the entire Navy to the best performing in 1 year. And we have implemented a lot of these things in our business, and it's just made such a huge difference to everyone's happiness, success, efficiency, and this overall success of the company.
Wow. That's so true. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs out there, myself included, it's very difficult to start hiring on people, right? Or at least to try to figure out that game. It's just hiring in general can be a challenge. So I've never heard of that book. I'm going to get it. Have you read a book called Traction before? Have you heard of that?
I have. Traction is very good. We have implemented pieces of Traction in our company too. Both of them are behind me. We're moving, so I eliminated 80% of my books, but these 2 books stayed in there. And yes, it's a very good book, Traction. I just think the other one adds a dimension to it, but both work really well together.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Who has given you the best advice out there? It kind of goes with the book, but who's given you the best advice? What was that advice, and how did it impact you?
Well, I want to go a different route with that. Before I got started, when I really had no clue what to focus on, I asked a friend of mine in Germany. I went to Germany for summer vacation or so, and I met this guy, the only successful guy I knew, and I kind of had a beer with him, and I sat down at the street or the cafe at the side of a lake where I grew up on, and I asked him what is the 4 pieces that he recommends if he had to start his business all over again, he had a company, he still has a company with like 300 people and like big business and stuff. So I was like, if you had to start from scratch again, what would you look for in a business? Because I had no idea what to look for. And he says, number one, he says, pick a business that is designed to be, and he was very specific about that, designed to be profitable. So at first I didn't understand what he meant, but he said, designed to be profitable means not like a franchise Subway store, right? As far as a Subway store costs 400 grand and you make 60 grand as the owner. After having employees and having to open the store and close the store and do accounting and do ordering, all this kind of stuff, you made 60 grand. That's not what I'm talking about. It's like, pick something that's truly designed to make money. Number two, he said, pick something that doesn't require maintenance. That means that you don't have to constantly be there and fix stuff, right? Because then you have freedom of money and freedom of time. Number three, he says, pick something that also has a component in it of passive income, like that you get paid. He has a software company. People pay him annual subscription basis. That makes sense. We have our land flipping where we have monthly payments from land, right? That makes sense. And number four, he says, pick something that you can, if you want to, do part-time. Because I knew back then I needed to do my business part-time because I still didn't have that green card. So that business, those four criteria, to this day, the four criteria that I run any business idea that I ever have, any business idea that's ever presented to me, I run it through those four filters. And if it doesn't qualify for one of them, it's out.
That is so incredibly intelligent and smart for you to share that for us. Thank you for that, because every single one of those makes so much sense. You know, the first one, that's why I'm in real estate, is I was like, you know, it could be profitable. Doesn't require maintenance. That's not why I'm in real estate, right? Because it's all the real estate I have, so much maintenance all the time. Passive income, of course, is why, you know, it's all about passive income, and to be able to do it part-time. The fact that you've been able to share this land strategy with myself as well as the listeners, I couldn't thank you more for that. So thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
How do you give back? You know, we're very successful. How do you give back?
Well, I like to look at that in two ways. We give back monetarily by supporting a charity for, it's a school for the poor in Honduras, my wife's home country. And it's a Swiss guy, a Swiss engineer that runs a school for pretty much almost only the poor over there. It's almost up to 1,000 people. They graduate bilingual with a profession and the best degrees kind of in the region. So which immediately catapults them out of poverty, which Honduras is one of the poorest countries in this side of the world, for sure. And overall, it's one of the bottom third of the world. And other than that, I think I truly look at our educational business as giving back, because it is, we are selling our course. Yes, we're selling our coaching, stuff like that. But my goal is really, our goal here is to generate 1,000 millionaires out of this. So we have a mission. It's a mission-driven business. It's a mission is that our goal is to generate 1,000 millionaires, and yeah, we're well into the 3 digits on the millionaire status. So if I'm thinking about, if I touch 1,000 families at $1 million level, that really means I'm touching 100,000 families at a success level, with 1,000 being the millionaire level. And what that can do for generations of kids, of generations of families, their self-confidence, their relationship with money, their ability to go to colleges, to go to places in life that they otherwise would never been there. That's a true impact thing that we're looking to do.
I think that's very true. I mean, even though you're selling that, you know, selling it, you're providing so much greater than that. And you have to look past the dollar that they're giving you for that course, right? I mean, this is generational.
Because we don't need to teach this to anyone. We could just keep doing our deals and sit and drink margaritas, right? We've accomplished the financial goals of our lives already. So this is truly a process that is very expensive on our side. That's why we're charging for things, but it's truly a difference maker in so many people's lives. And if you ever come to our live events, we have like, let's say 200 people there. There's literally 60 to 70 of them that already are actively doing deals. And the other 120 or 130 have just gotten the program and have not even started with it yet. So we have like success rates out the roof, and every time there's a life change, because their first deal changes their entire attitude about who they are, their entire self-confidence. It's a game changer.
Yeah, I'm sure, and that is phenomenal. So thank you for that. And with that being said, where can they reach you at? If they want to, I almost guarantee you that you're going to get some touches here because it's where could they find you?
They can go to, again, we have two places. They can go to our website called landprofitgenerator.com. Again, landprofitgenerator.com. Or we also have a Facebook group where a lot of our successful students are hanging out there. And I always say, like, if somebody listens to that, it's like, yeah, blah, blah, this kind of guy just tells a bunch of stuff. He wants to sell us a course. Well, you don't have to believe me. Go join our Facebook group. It's called the Land Profit Generator Real Estate Group on Facebook. Join us. See what's going on there. There's literally success stories being posted almost every day from our students. We comment on it. Our students comment. It's one of the greatest communities, in my opinion, that was built on Facebook. And we didn't even build it. It came out of a coincidence that it was built, and it just took off. And now it's become this organic place where land flippers are helping each other become more successful.
That is phenomenal. We'll definitely make sure to add that in the show notes. And Jack, this has been enlightening for me to have you on here today. I really appreciate you being here. I know the listeners are going to get a lot out of the show. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully I'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, we'd love to. We'd love to grab coffee or so sometime.
Yeah, let's make that happen. I'll talk to you real soon, Jack. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
What'd you think?
I liked it. Thank you. Did a good job here. You did a great job guiding it along.
Yeah, it's this is something I really, really enjoy. That's for sure. I got to be honest, though, I am blown away with this. So next question is, I'm going to get started. I send 30,000 mail pieces a month right now. So if I have to send even a third of that to get some other success and really to try some different stuff, because I'd want to pick your brain on a lot of different things. We should set up coffee. I'd like to take you out, in the next week or two.
Yeah, we're moving to a new house. We're moving over to Paradise Valley right now, and moving out of this house here tomorrow. Tomorrow the Packers come. Friday we're moving, so it's going to be a little busy the next week or two. But then we'll be ready and we'll be available. So I'll be happy to do that. And by the way, literally, I mean, every word I said is true. There isn't any hype or anything like that behind it. This is the true statistics of that our students are getting.
So, matter of fact, I've done a little research on you, talked to a few people before we had this call. I've known who you are for a while. You've been on my radar for a while. I've just been so busy with other things that I haven't really had a chance to reach out. So I'm glad that we could connect and have this. Forget who reached out to me about it. Somebody with you reached out and,
Yeah, either somebody with us or I hired a company to go get me on a bunch of podcasts.
Yep.
Like somebody from their company, like connecting, interview connections or so.
Something like that. But man, this has been awesome. And I'll reach out in a couple of weeks then. Let's seriously grab coffee. I have some other things I want to chat with you about you might have interest in. So
cool. Sounds good.
All right.
I'll be available, as I said. Give me a couple of weeks right now to get my feet on the ground again after moving over into this new house, and then I'm more than happy to it. I can also, if you have my direct email address, let me just put it into the chat box here. And if not, you can call if I don't answer if any show up because it might have gone in my spam folder. Email Barbara at Barbara L at orbitinvestments.com, or mine is Jack B at orbitinvestments.com.
Barbara L at Orbit.
Yes. So I just put it into the little Zoom group chat.
Cool. Yeah, I just got it.
All right. Wonderful.
All right, man. I appreciate you.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Make sure to like, subscribe, and share this podcast to help us spread the word. Go ahead and reach out to Scott Bauer on all the social media outlets for suggestions on topics and guests for the show. And check out investthispodcast.com for more secrets and resources to achieve real success in real estate.